All right.
Okay,
Awesome.
hold on,
Awesome.
put on there.
I have been looking forward to this. You talking about you looking forward to it. I've been looking forward to it. First of all, tell me what you're drinking. That looks so good.
Ooh, look, honey.
Mm.
Come on now, the one and only Starbucks. But I just put it
Ah,
in my little fancy cup.
I love it. I love it.
Look, get
What I'm
y'all
doing.
some ready rip, okay? This takes your
Oh,
coffee up a notch.
I used to do I would get the tub of like I guess it was Cool Whip and I would freeze it. And then you
Ooh,
scoop it out like ice cream and put it
like
on
ice
that
cream. Ooh,
coffee. Oh,
ooh, okay.
oh. I was like,
Mm,
ooh. And I get to the point where I'd had like this much coffee and this much
mm-hmm.
ice cream, Cool Whip scoops. I was like, I'm probably doing this wrong.
Look, you having coffee with your Cool Whip.
Right, exactly, exactly. So yeah, I'm doing some peppermint tea today. I've had the grandkids, well, Friday night and Saturday night, and there was some sniffles and coughing. I'm like, okay,
Oh, wait a minute.
let me get some honey in here and make sure we get all that stuff going.
We'll get the elderberry going, all that good stuff. Yeah,
All
that tea
of it,
sounds good over there. I
all
might
of
have
it.
to try that next time.
I'm telling you. But yes, I am so ready. Listen, I'm in chill zone. I got my incense. You can't see it burning. So if y'all
Ooh,
see some smoke, it's just the incense,
okay.
chimo. I don't know if you've ever had this doesn't sound like a commercial. This is my favorite incense. Nag Champa.
Oh, I don't think I've seen that. Was that the one that you showed me when I came by swung by the house?
No, that was and they stopped carrying it at it was at Whole Foods. It was Egyptian musk and they
Yep, that's the
stopped
one.
carrying it. And I went to go get some. They don't even have the line anymore. So I'm like,
Mm.
unbelievable. But Nag Champa is really good. It's at Earthbound in McCain Mall. Like I said, I sound like a commercial. Not promoting it, but this is the bomb. This is an Indian
Well,
incense. And it just takes you to that next level. It just
mm.
calms the
Look, you know how to
soul.
set the mood. Set
Calms the
the
soul.
mood.
Girl, you got so much going on. I
I
mean,
do.
now, first of all, you and I have known each other for 4 or 5 years because we met.
For
We were in the same company for network marketing. I think it's well, I've been away from that company for 2 years, 3 years, something like
two
that.
years.
So,
Actually, before then, I've been knowing you for actually 8 years. You used to and I don't know if you're still doing it, but you had a travel agency, and that was the first time I came to your
oh,
home.
when I was
You
with
did a
World
travel
Ventures,
party.
that's right. Oh
I've been
my
knowing you for
gosh,
8 years. When we
that's
linked back
right.
up
We
before
sure
X.
We sure did. We sure did. I
Mhm.
forgot about that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
coming to your home helped me remember because I was like, wait, I've been here before, and then I remember you marketed for the travel agency, and I was
I
like, I've been
sure
here
did.
before.
I
Mhm.
can't even tell you how many times, because when I was with that travel company, like this, my home was like headquarters for Arkansas, right? Headquarters. And I can't even tell you how many places I would go, people that I would meet and come across. And, we'd start conversating and they go, wait, you look familiar. Do you live in at the house? At the time, my house was blue. You live in that blue house on the corner? I'm like, yeah, I've been to your house, and I'm like,
Mhm.
yep, you probably have. If you did anything with travel or were curious about it, you had to stop by the house. So I'm so grateful for that company because it brought me not only a world of travel, but just meeting so many different people. Like my home was just so open to everybody. So I loved it, loved it. And it's so funny because when you're in network marketing, and I'm not in network marketing right now, but you meet so many people, you have different contacts, you meet friends of friends of friends of friends, and family members of family members, and it's so unique. And then, everybody doesn't stick around. People move on and move in different directions, and you don't want
For sure.
everybody around. You just don't want, And it's like,
That
but when
part.
you can form those certain friendships and those relationships, and they still last beyond your time with the company, to me, that's special. That's special because it goes
Absolutely.
beyond the money. If you're really doing network marketing right, it goes beyond the money. And the relationships for me are what's the best, and when I can have, I make it a point, I should say, of people that I've come in contact with, especially in that arena. Like if I fool with you, if I like you, I like you. It ain't got nothing to do with
That
the
part.
company. It got nothing to do with the business. You can move on to a whole different company. I can move on, but it's like, man, I like to stay in contact with this person, and you were definitely one of those people. So I have
Oh, thank
always
you.
we've always connected. I've reached out to you, hey, what's going on? How you doing? Whether it was in the business or not. And then I've just been
Mhm.
following your journey, and I'm like, this girl.
Girl, you
This
get me. You
girl,
get me, man. You know
this
exactly
girl.
what I'm going through.
Yes, yes. Like I have just been watching. I'm like, she is really doing the doggone thing. Because one of the
Oh,
things
thank
I
you.
loved about you the most when we were in the same company, I was like, your energy. I was like, her energy. Like she is, like you're on it. Like you could there's people that fake it, they fake
Yeah.
wanting to do something or wanting something more, or they fake energy, and that's in anything. It could be a corporate job, it
Mm.
could be a next door neighbor, it could be whatever, you know what I mean? But it's
But the proof
like
is in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding.
exactly. And I was like, this girl, and now you are just doing all of the things. Like every time I turn around, it's like closed on another one. Either you're
Let's
closing
go.
on
Let's
homes for
go.
other people, or you closing for yourself and selling them and staging them and flipping them. And I'm just like boom, boom, boom. And then your energy the whole time, you're positive,
Yeah.
you're in this incredible relationship. I've been watching that too. And then
We
I
love
seen the
it.
ring. I know, right? I saw the ring. I'm
Girl,
like,
look at the
oh my
thing.
God.
Let's
Yeah. Oh,
go.
I ain't even got to lean up. I don't even know what I moved forward for because it's big enough for me to see. I could go in the other room and see that bling. Okay. Like,
Okay,
oh,
let's
he
go.
did so good. He
He
did so
did.
good.
He
He
really
did
did.
so good. And I mean, he did good with you, not just the ring.
Yes.
The ring is
And by me.
beautiful. Yeah, and by you.
And by
Ooh,
me.
there
Man,
you
he
go.
was the first man that loved me for real, and so the ring is just like the icing on the cake. Like I look forward to spending not just the marriage, but spending my life with this person, because it's not like, oh, we just getting married and I'm looking forward to the ceremony. I'm looking forward to like spending my life with you
Doing
because you
life,
are that
doing
awesome.
life,
Doing
doing
life
life.
together, man.
Sometimes people put so much emphasis on the ceremony. There's nothing wrong with having a
Yeah.
beautiful ceremony, of course.
Yeah, for
But
sure,
it's
for
like
sure.
you want to do life with this person, not for the
Mm,
pomp and circumstance for everybody else. It's like this is who you chose to do life with, you know?
yeah,
I
yeah.
love it. But let's go back.
Very
Let's go back.
good.
Let's go back. Let's talk
Yes.
about how you got into real estate. You and I were talking a little bit the other day, and I was saying that lots of times people want to get into real estate because it can be a trendy thing. People are
For
watching
sure.
TV and they're like, "Oh, I can do that. I can do that." And then for whatever reason they get held back. They don't do it out of fear or thinking they got to have a whole bunch of money or just maybe ignorance, just not knowing what to do. And then
For
there's
sure.
people that are like, listen, I see an opportunity here. I'm gonna figure it out along the way and I'm gonna make it happen. And then they go make it happen in a big way. And that's you. So let's talk about how you got into real estate, how this
Yeah.
all came about.
I would love to tell you. So, I was just kind of like everybody else. I did it the traditional way. They tell you, go to school, make good grades, get the best job, right?
Yeah.
And I did all of that. And so, I was working for a sales company. I was selling advertising space for them, and I was actually their top person there. But I did notice that I was the only Black female there for a long period of time, and
Mm.
I didn't realize that I was gonna eventually meet a glass ceiling where my opportunities for promotion in the company would be limited. And
Mm.
so once I got to that place, this is a company that I sold like $100,000 worth of ads for in like
Yeah.
1 month. So,
Wow. Wow.
when the average person there was probably selling maybe $5,000 worth of ads. So, I mean, I was truly a top
Yeah.
provider and well, I guess not provider, but I guess salesperson. And
Right.
so a position opened up where I could actually be the head of the sales floor. And I was told that I was too emotional, and AKA that's code for you're a woman. And then
Mm-hmm.
I had another strike against me. I was a Black woman in a predominantly white company. So at that point, I started realizing that this person didn't want me in any type of position of power, and that this person was going to keep me limited to being a sales rep because that's where they felt my talent was best, and
Wow.
it was not going to promote me. And so eventually, it changed my way of it changed my energy when I actually came to the company and I started looking into doing something different. So I was fired. Just to be upfront, I was fired from that company because I kept speaking out against things that was wrong. And
Mm.
college don't prep you for that. They tell you the written rules, but they
Right.
don't tell you the unwritten rules, right?
Mm.
You're not supposed to speak out against the company or anything that they're doing wrong. So they ended up firing me, and I started I started thinking about real estate actually before that actually happened. So I started
Hmm.
watching HGTV. I was watching this
Hmm.
show called Flip or Flop with Tarek and Christina. They're no
Yep.
longer in business because they're not married, but
Right, right.
I saw them make $100,000 off of a flip that took them only 2 months to do. And I'm like, wow, it takes me a whole year to make six figures. And so
Right.
it got me to thinking, like, wait a minute, I'm over here working hard. I need to learn to work smart. And that's what got me into real estate. I started saying, hey, I want to make that type of money. And so it took me probably like a year to really get the ball rolling with that. But it
Hmm.
just started off with a TV show and I took it from there.
I love it, which goes right back to what I just said. People will see
Mm-hmm.
HGTV and think, I can do it. It's easy peasy, but they won't take the steps or something. I can do that. Let me figure out how I'm going to do it and start making it happen. That's exactly what you did.
It's
That's
sink or swim.
amazing. Right.
Sink
That's
or swim.
amazing because you did something about it. You know what I
I
mean?
did something
You
about it.
did so, and you talk about a whole different industry. You come from advertising to go into real estate, which is
Real
a
estate.
whole different ball game. I mean, you're
I
still
had
dealing with
nothing to
customers,
lose.
but that's a whole. I love it. I love it. You had nothing to lose and everything to gain. I love it. So
Yep.
what did it look like? Like you said, it took about a year to get things in place, to start making some things happen. What was it
Yeah.
like for you when you showed your first house?
Oh, I was so nervous because in the back of my mind, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. You're thinking about all of the things that you think they're going to ask you. And what if
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the answer? Like you start freaking out. And I think the biggest shocker was that the people that I thought was going to support me did not support me. And so that took
Mm,
a while. That took a while to really for me to really grasp because my friends and my family members was not my first customers, and it was weird how a stranger was more comfortable giving their information than somebody that's been knowing you all their life. So it was just different, and I think I started getting discouraged. So you
mhm.
gotta have that mindset, like what, whether friends or family support me, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna talk to people about what I do, and it's like a momentum business. It starts off slow when you first do it, but then as you
Mhm.
as you start building the leads and talking to people and letting them know, and you start closing your first deals, people first need to see that you're successful first before they support you. And once
Yeah.
people started seeing me do it and started seeing me being successful at it, then they was more of a believer. So I had to make them a believer. I had to let them know that this is not just some hobby, this is my career. And once they
Hmm.
saw me taking it serious, they took me serious. But when you
I
first
love that.
started off something, people don't know if you're serious about it or not, so they
Right?
may not always think to call you. So I stopped taking it personal.
Oh, that's so good. Because in business, it's so
Mm-hmm.
easy to take it personal. Like you said,
It
friends won't
is.
support you, family won't support you. You can see somebody go and buy a house or go list their house and you know them. And it's like, but wait a minute. Or if you own a store, if you own a other kind of business and you see your friends and family doing that, it's easy to take it
Mm-hmm.
personal. But it's like,
Very.
you can't, and it might be personal to a certain extent, but it's like it's their
Mm-hmm.
personal, it's not your personal. You can't take it personal. Now let me ask you this too, because you said you got discouraged. So what did you do to push through? Because sometimes when that discouragement comes and it can just eat at you, like you said, you kept going. You were like, I'm going to make them a believer because this is my
Yeah.
career. I'm taking it serious. I'm not giving up. But what did that look like? Like, were there books that you read? Did you go get a coach? Was there a mentor? Was there prayer involved? Was there, talking to somebody or just digging down and getting to that grit that we all have in us and you just pulled it out? Like, how did you push through that to keep going?
Oh, that's a great question. So what I did was I actually started talking to my one of my best friends in Illinois. Her name is Jocelyn, and she would just help me see things from a different perspective. And then I started
Mm,
praying about it because I said to God, "There's no way that you're going to bring me to this and just leave me astray," you know. And I had to not look at the money aspect of it because here I am. I'm going from six figures. In my first year, I only made like 40 grand. So I
yeah.
lost $60,000 worth of my income. And I said, you know what? Let me educate myself. So the books I started getting was The Millionaire Real Estate. The Millionaire Real Estate Investor is one book I read. I read The $1 Million Real Estate Agent. all written by Keller Williams. I
Mm-hmm.
started linking up with other agents that was successful, and I started doing their open
Mm.
houses for them, and I started getting in front of buyers. I just and but I think what helped me the most is I actually got me a coach, a life coach, and I started talking to them about some of the challenges that I was having, and I just adjusted my attitude from what I was seeing, because
Mm.
I was getting bitter and I was getting angry, and I wasn't necessarily saying mean words, but people can feel when your energy is off,
Oh,
and I was
yeah.
coming off aggressive because I was frustrated at the people that wasn't supporting me and not being grateful for the people that was supporting me. I was so
Mm.
focused on what I wasn't getting that I wasn't paying attention to what I was getting. And so I just said, I also realized that it was a numbers game. And so I needed to always have I need to always have people in the pipeline that I'm talking to. But if you're only talking to your friends and your family and they say no, it's easy to take it personal. But if I have like 12 deals lined up and 18 deals lined up, you don't care who's saying no because you still got money coming in. So
Yep.
I made that my focus to not take it personal, but to keep going, to keep doing the work until the results was going to pay off, and eventually it did. Real estate is a momentum business. It's not something that you're going to get rich overnight. You got to put the work
Hmm.
in on the front end, and then it pays off on the back end.
Oh, I
So
think
those are
that's excellent.
yeah,
I think that's excellent because I mean that's for one, that's inspiring. For two, I appreciate you breaking it down too, because like you said, you got a life coach, you started doing open houses for other people, you were getting in the environment with people that were making it happen and then changing your attitude. It's so easy to look at what we don't have or what we think is passing us by. And I believe it took me a long time to grasp it. And I knew it in the sense of the how they say knowledge is power, but it's really only powerful if you actually use it. So I had
right,
the knowledge that being grateful was knowledge. You should be grateful. But when it comes to actually knowing that and putting that into practice, especially when you're under fire, especially when
man. And
wall
when your income is under fire,
right, and you're just
you're
looking at
like, wait a minute now.
and it's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
it's that's when, to me, I think that's when you truly are grateful, because when you can when you can find a gratitude in that crap,
Mm-hmm.
when you can find it in that crap, that's when it's really gratitude. Because it's easy to say, oh, thank you, I'm so grateful, and everything's going great. It's easy
Yep.
then. It's easy.
Easy.
But it's just like when the stuff hits the fan and you can still dig your heels in deep and find that gratitude and pull it out, that's golden. That's
Whole nother level, because who you truly are isn't who you are when the times are good. It's who you are when the times are bad. That's who you really are.
girl, you better come
That's who
on
you
with it.
that's who you really are. Who are you when your back is against the wall and you need to make it happen? That's who you really are. That's when you
Mhm.
know if you're a go-getter or not.
That's so
That's when you
true.
know.
Because everybody will wear that t-shirt and that hat that'll say go getter, go getter. But not until, like you said, your back is up against the wall, when it really counts, when it really matters, And
Do
isn't
it
it
scared. Do it scared.
exactly? Isn't that a book? Feel the fear and do it anyway, or something like that. There's a book similar to that. And what's so funny too, what I love about things like this is because the way you do anything is the way you do everything. And just
That
like how
part.
you said, when you were discouraged, when you were bitter and you were upset at the people that weren't supporting you, the other people could feel it. They could feel that energy
Yes.
because you were bringing that energy, because the way you do anything is the way you do everything. So you're bringing that with you. But when you flip that all around, and now people can see and feel you before they even hear the words that come out of your mouth. They already know. They already know that you're legit. They already know that you got their back. And then all you have to do is open your mouth and then take the actions and show, yeah, I got this and I got you,
That
and it
part.
turns around. Everything
Yeah.
turns around. I love that. Now, also, like I said, I've been watching your journey, your love journey. Okay. And it's like, okay, here she is. successful in real estate, not just selling homes, for people. And I mean, you've got buyers like all the time on social media, like all the
Yeah,
time. You are congratulating somebody on closing on their home. You're, like I said earlier, you're buying homes yourself, you're staging them, you're flipping them, and you're selling them. That takes
yeah,
a lot of work, a lot of commitment, a lot of sacrifice, time investment, all of that.
yes,
And you've got a great relationship that's happening
yep,
too, and trying
yep.
to balance it all. And you said something, and I told you this the other day. When you got engaged and you thanked everyone, because I know you had everybody and their mama blowing you up and
There you
congratulating, because
go.
I was like, what? I saw the video. I'm like, oh my God, congratulations. And so
Yeah,
I love the fact that you made that video to thank everybody, for sending you
absolutely.
wishes. But then you said something, and we already had this scheduled, and I was like hooping and hollering, as my mama used to say. I was like, yes, because you said, and I'm paraphrasing it, but we're gonna get into it. But you said,
Yeah,
ladies, I want to encourage you. You can be successful in business. You can find love. You said you can even be a little thick. I remember you said that, and
that part.
still bring it all together. And I was like, oh, I want you to
Mhm.
talk about that, because so many
Yeah,
times we feel like as women that it's got to be either or, either a successful career or a successful relationship, or either you got to look like this or you got to look like that. And it's like, it's not either or. You can actually have it all. You
you
just
can have
need
it all.
and balance, and you just come with the right mindset. So tell me, for you, what did it feel like when you knew you're starting this new relationship? You're already successful, you're giving your time and energy to that, but now you have this new man in your life that you want to give time and energy to as well. And
Hmm.
how did you know that he could handle that? Because a lot of times, some men can't handle that. And the reason I think some men can't handle that is because some women don't know how to let them know that I want you here in my life. I want you to be a part of this. And I want to share this with you, because sometimes, we as women, especially successful women, and we got things going on, and and I think sometimes reality shows have something to do with this. I don't know, I could be wrong, but it's like, I ain't
It
gonna let no
does.
man, and he this, and he better come with this, and he better this, and then that man, or I got my own this, I got my own that, I got my own this, and there's no room for a man. He's like, well, damn, what do I bring to the table?
What do
Because
I bring?
because you don't need, so how did you know to let him know that you wanted him in your life, and there was room for him, and you made room for him in your life, and he felt that? So I don't know if I'm making sense. I got so much going
It
on in my
makes
head
no.
right now, but
It
I'm
makes a
like,
lot of sense.
tell me about
Yeah.
that.
So let me tell you. So he was the first man where I really just took it slow. I started really seeing the reactions that I was getting from other men, and I realized that okay, I'm not doing enough talking. I'm not making them just feel comfortable and about talk. No one wants to talk about income and all that other good stuff. But I talked to him and I got his insight about it. And I think what helped us is that he's successful in his own way. So he doesn't have any reason to be intimidated by me because he has his own success. I think the struggle comes in when the woman is more successful and the man doesn't have any success for himself. He think it's gonna be okay to see his woman successful, but he doesn't realize that he's not gonna be happy for her. No man wants to see his woman out hustle him. So, and that was one of the main reasons why I was single. I was just unfortunately dating men that didn't qualify. So, because he
Mm,
had his own success and he's making good money himself, it was just easier to have that conversation. And as far as making time, we just looked at both of our schedules and said, okay, this is our time alone where we're not going to have any phones. We're not going to, this is just me and you time, whether we playing the game, taking a walk, whatever. So
love
I
that.
had to do what's known as time blocking, meaning that, okay, this is my
Mhm.
time for real estate and this is my time for my relationship. And I will literally put my phone on
Mm.
silent and I will let my clients know, like, hey, I'm available during these times. So don't tell clients you're available whenever. You need to have a set schedule as to when you do certain things. Because that way
Mhm.
I noticed when I didn't have a set schedule on certain things, I was like all over the place because I am not a routine person. But when you get into a relationship and you got a lot going on, you have to block out for your time because you'll be all over the place and then you won't give your relationship enough time or your business.
Yeah,
You
something's
know,
gonna suffer. Yeah,
there,
I
yeah,
love that.
absolutely. So that's what I did. You had to make time. As far as like the successful part, the person gotta like you for real. You have to date somebody that's not in competition with women. So a lot of men are in competition with women and they're
Oh,
sizing themselves up.
wait.
Yeah.
Oh, I
You
got
think they're in
goosebumps.
competition with men, they're in competition with
Woo,
you
I got goosebumps on that. Now, how does a woman, before you go further, that how does a woman recognize that he's in competition with her?
by some of the things that he say. And then you watch how he supports you. What's his reaction when you're telling him about some of your successful stories? Is he excited or is it just like low energy, like, oh, congrats? Or if he's saying stuff like your little business or your little this. Or if they start trying to, if they're always trying to bring you down or give you backhanded compliments, if this person isn't building you up and saying, yeah, baby, go for it. If they're saying like little stuff that's making you feel some type of way, that's how you know they're in competition. Or they try to belittle, they try to make you feel small so that they feel big. That's how you
Mm,
know. So
mm.
they'll compliment you on one end and then say something negative on the back end. That's how you know. If you have an event and they don't show up to it, that's
Mm.
a way. If they're always talking about money and or calling you big boss, like you big boss, you big this, you big that, oh
Ooh.
you big money. They say stuff like that. They
Oh,
hate
yeah. Shady. Yeah.
and shady.
Oh, that's so good.
You you
That's,
supposed to you supposed to be big daddy, not me. See, I knew he was my husband because he know he big daddy.
yeah. I love that. I love that because it's those little things that
Mm-hmm.
sometimes go above over people's head, or sometimes, especially women, when you're desperate
Yeah.
looking for a relationship, you'll let things slide. And those
Ooh,
little
that
things,
part.
when they slide, they turn into a whole big amusement park of mess. It's like it sounds like a little slide, little playground slide. Oh, okay, that's cute. He didn't mean nothing by that. He wasn't serious. And then before you know it, you got a whole doggone Disney World a mess, and you trying to figure out, well, how did this happen? It's like because you let him play on the playground slide. You let him feel that that was okay, so he took it
That
to the
part.
next level. And
And whatever you ignore on the front end is what y'all gonna end up breaking up for in the end. And it keeps you single. Ignoring those red flags keep you single. I should have been married by now, but because I let that a lot of stuff slide in the beginning, that's why I spent a lot of my best years wasting my time with people who just didn't qualify. Coming and another way you can tell if they don't want to not, do they come with uh excuses or do they come with results? Are they always talking about what they want to do or are they actually putting together a plan and actually doing it? What does the actions say? I used to always go off of what a man would say instead of what they actually did. And that's another thing that kept me single. So, sometimes people will think that, oh, a woman is single because she can't keep a man, or oh,
yeah,
maybe she intimidates them, or maybe all of these different reasons. When the truth is, he don't like you for real, and if he did, he'll come with it. People
that's
who
so
like
true.
you, they make sure they qualify. They don't want any other man to get you.
Yeah,
Men that somewhat like you or don't really like you, they're gonna come with a bunch of excuses. They're gonna come with a lot of pillow talk, and they're never gonna be about what they're talking about. I make sure they stand on business, and I'm okay with being alone for the rest of my life if that's the type of man I gotta date. If they're
right.
not standing on business, I just rather be by myself because I felt more alone in relationships that didn't fulfill me. I felt more
Mm-hmm.
alone in those relationships than actually being by myself. And so once you get to that
Exactly.
point, weeding out the men that don't support you or not for you becomes real easy.
I
That
love that.
discernment is there. But yeah,
I
sorry. I
love
ain't mean to
that.
digress, but
No, please, please, please. I love that. Now I'm going to challenge you on something you just said because I beg to differ with something you said. You said your best years. Your best years. You said you said something to the effect of, you wasted time during your best years with dating the wrong men, right? I'm gonna
Hmm.
challenge you. I think your
Okay.
best years are now,
Yeah.
because in order for you to know what you wanted and to attract the type of person, the man that you have in your life and everything that you have going on, I think these are your best years. I think that was just rehearsal. Because if you didn't go through
Ooh,
all
okay.
that, if you
I
didn't
ain't think
go through
about
all that to know, because you now you know what not to do. Now you know who
it.
not to attract. So I don't think you wasted your best years. And the reason that I picked up on that, because when I went through my divorce, those of you that don't know, second marriage, first marriage was lasted long enough to produce two amazing boys. I'm forever grateful for that. Second marriage lasted for 25 years. We got divorced, right?
Oh,
And that's I have my last three beautiful children from that. And I remember a family member, and she was well meaning, well meaning. And it was in the thick of the divorce. I didn't want the divorce. And I was just heartbroken and just, I'll spare you all the details of that. And so she said
yeah.
to me, she said, he took the best years of your life. And it was
Ooh.
like, and it stuck like right here. And I was so emotional and just so,
You
but
feel that way.
and it was just like, it was like she was like, because I didn't even think that. I didn't even like, that wasn't even a thought. It didn't even cross my mind.
Oh.
It didn't cross my mind until she said that. And I was just like,
Mm.
what? Like, it made me angry, like not at her.
Oh.
Like, it didn't make me
Oh.
angry at her, but it was just like, as I started getting myself back together emotionally and everything, and I thought, oh, the hell he did. He did not
Oh.
take the best 25 years of my life. Like, it was just this, it was like, what? You know?
Mhm.
And so I had to unpack what she had said, and I think what she was trying to say, or the meaning behind it. And maybe she meant it exactly as she said it, but I was like, oh, I'm not taking that. I'm not absorbing that, because
You're
there's
not
no
being nobody's victim.
yeah, it's like there's
I
no
love
way
it.
he took the best 25 years of my life. There's just no way, because, there's life. I still have life. I'm still able to breathe. I'm able to see. I'm able to learn from that. You know what I mean? And I'm so grateful for the good that came from that, and grateful for the challenges and the funky part too, because it's just like you
Absolutely.
can't have a rainstorm. You can't have these beautiful sunny days and these beautiful flowers blooming without appreciating the hailstorm that you went through in order to get those flowers. And so I felt like that, but
Mm.
it took me a while. Like, I didn't feel that right after she said that. After she said it, it stuck. And I was like, because I promise you, I never even gave it a second thought. I just like
Yeah.
when the divorce and when things blew up and whatnot, I didn't take it personal. People that knew what had happened, they were like, I think, I don't know, they some people meaning well, they were like, they tried to say, like they thought that I was feeling insecure because he had left and he
Oh.
was out there doing his thing. And it was like, some of them were wanting me to not take it personal, like, don't feel like you weren't good enough, or you weren't pretty enough, or you weren't this or that. And I never thought that. And it was just like, people are putting this
Well,
stuff in
see,
my
I did
head.
feel that. I
and
did feel that
and
when it was happening to me.
I just didn't think that. I didn't like it. It wasn't like, oh, maybe I
Mm.
did. Maybe I should have been swinging from the chandelier, or maybe I should, like, that stuff didn't come to mind. Like,
But that don't keep them. That's what's crazy. The
it
stuff you think keep a man really doesn't keep them. They
doesn't.
gotta want to be kept.
Exactly. And that stuff just did not come to mind until somebody else started putting it in my head. And I was like, I just had to just
Mm.
shake it off. I was like, no, he didn't take the best 25 years of my life. No, he didn't leave me because, he found somebody else that looked better, or sex better, or talked better, or whatever. It wasn't that at all. But I had to just
Mm.
undo what people were trying to put in my head, because it
That's why
wasn't
I'm
my
thinking
thought.
it. That's
Yeah,
why I'm
because
thinking it
people will
because
put
people
that in your head, and they'll,
they
from TV media, or
mm,
well-meaning friends and family too, because these things that people were putting in my head came from well-meaning people. But I just
mm,
shut it down. It was just like, but at the time, being so emotional, it was a thought. But what I was so emotional about was this person at the time was like, not only my husband, he was my best friend. So I was like mourning the loss of a best friend. I was mourning the loss of a marriage. I was mourning all of that, and then I
yeah.
went through all, you go through all the different stages and stuff. And then it got to a point where when I started getting my swagger back, and it was just like, then it was like, oh, okay. I'm grateful for this. I actually took him to
For sure.
lunch after a while, after, took some time. And I was
Mm.
like, I need to take you to lunch. And I thanked him for leaving, because it was the best thing that he could have done for me. And I didn't realize it at the time. Like, I didn't even know what real happiness and real joy was until that was over. Okay. Like
Ooh.
for me, like I had
That
happy
part.
times with him. I had joyful times with him. You know what I mean? I've got amazing children from him, and we've done amazing things together as a family. We did amazing things just he and I on our own. But obviously there were a lot of other issues too. But like I said, it wasn't until I had me time, like just me, just unpacking like all of this stuff that I was doing and thinking and feeling and whatnot. Because I certainly was no angel in that marriage. It wasn't like, oh, it was all
Yeah, of
him, him,
course.
him. Heck no, it's crazy. You know what I mean? So it's just like,
Absolutely.
yeah, but it was just like I found real joy, real happiness, and real peace, and I'm grateful to him for that. We're great friends now. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Maybe great friends is not exaggerate. It may be a slight exaggeration, but we can call each other, kick it, talk about what he's got going on, and he'll talk about what I got going on. We'll talk about the kids, the grandkids, and and we're real cool. We can be around each other, all of that stuff, because there's nothing there. You know what I mean? Nothing but
Right.
mutual respect and mutual love and just for who we are today. And but
Hmm.
when you said that, when you said, the best part of you, and I'm like, nah, baby girl. Mm-mm.
Because
They,
that's been
they
put
didn't
into
they didn't
my
get the
head.
best part, but people will put that in your head.
They put
And
that
they
in my
mean
head
well.
because
Yeah.
yeah, because they tell you that your best years is when you're in your 20s, when you're thinner and when you're looking good. But actually, my 20s was like my roughest years because, you
20s,
know,
yeah.
yeah, because nobody really taught me the game. Nobody, my mother didn't sit down and teach me the game again. And I hate to say this, but a lot of Black women are not taught about men. We're not taught even how to keep our men. We're taught how to not need a man, right? And so you go into these situations really not knowing what you're doing, not knowing what to look out for. So you can't win at a game that you don't know the rules to, right?
Mm.
And I
Oh,
didn't know the
so
rules in
good.
my I didn't know the rules in my 20s, even in marriages, And I'm gonna ask you for your advice at the end of this. Anything we should look out for
Well,
because
because
again,
again,
I'm just learning on this journey,
right.
and honestly, it's just weird how you could be somebody's friend after y'all are not together, and it's like you almost kind of did it ever come on in your mind like, man, if we would have been able to connect like this, would y'all have stayed married if y'all had the same friendship that y'all have now, or
And the thing was, it was that like we were really cool. Like we could laugh,
Mhm.
talk with each other through the marriage. When stuff
Yeah.
was bad, it was bad. But it was more behind. Looking back on it, it was more behind. Like we had great communication on the surface. We could laugh and talk about anything, movies, anything. We could go anywhere. We could just have a good time. But when it came to the real important things when it came to values and principles and thought processes, the most important things, that's where the disconnect was. And a lot of times when
Oh.
you let that sweep underneath the rug, like I said earlier about that little playground slide, you just kind of let some things slide. You just feel,
Mm. Mm.
and just going back to your point, I wasn't taught how to keep a man. I wasn't taught that. I mean, I saw my mother have different relationships, and the one relationship that was long standing, for a while, it was very volatile. I would see her do things for him. Like I was telling one of my sons
Yep.
today, and I would see her like when he would get off work, his bath water was made, his clothes were laid out, his dinner was
Okay.
on the table, like hot food, and I always liked that. But then when things were bad between them, I saw that too. I saw the yelling, the screaming, the throwing, and all that stuff. So it was very confusing as a young kid because I'm like,
Absolutely.
what do you do? And she was always trying to make sure I was independent, make sure I did this, I did that, I don't, and then all her friends, all of my mom's friends that I can think of, like her close friends, they were all single women. They were all single women. They were all trying to figure out these relationship things.
Mm.
And they were all saying the same thing, have your own, have your own. Don't depend on a man. Don't depend on a man. And you
But
keep
then
hearing,
they judge you for it. But then you get judged for being independent. You get judged for being independent. Because I've had a lot of men
yep,
not date me because I'm successful, and because they're
yep,
like, I've had men literally tell me, I can't afford you, not getting to know me, not really just
they're
seeing
looking
what
at the
other value
surface.
I made, but just looking at the surface. And I'm here to say, I'm just a regular woman.
Yeah,
I'm just successful. I'm high earning, but that doesn't make me less feminine. It doesn't mean
exactly.
I can't take care of a household. You could be a businesswoman and take care of your man and take care of the household as well. But that's not the narrative that's being pushed right now. It's kind of
Exactly.
like, it's like a double-edged sword. It's kind of like, you're judged if you don't have anything, because then they're like, oh, she a bum, and
She ain't got
she's just
nothing.
another a gold digger trying to, take a man's
Trying to
money.
come up.
But then,
Right.
yeah, trying to come up. But then when you're successful, it's almost like, oh, well, you're too intimidating. You're this and you're that. And I had to realize I'm not too intimidating. It's just that you don't qualify, and
Yeah.
I'm not about to play with you. Because a man that truly wants you, he don't care if he's intimidated by you. Men are hunters, and they like a challenge.
They
So if a
like to
person that
hunt.
truly likes you, they're gonna go after you, and they're gonna dig deep in themselves to say, okay, what is it about her that's making me feel any type of way? Oh, and they realize it's not nothing I'm doing. It's something. It's a mental shift
It's
you
the
have to
thing
go
in
through.
him. Exactly.
Yeah. And that could
Exactly.
be you, hey, shoot, you know what? If I want her, I might need to make some more money. Because me and my guy had that conversation. He was like, you know what? If I'm gonna be with you, I need to make more money. But instead of him being insecure about that, he went and made more. He went and got a career with a
Right.
Fortune 500 company, and he
Right.
he changed some things.
Bring it, and
So
you brought that thing that was in him because a woman, that's what we do. We nurture and grow, we multiply things. We do.
mhm.
And going back, you just made me think of this too, because how we as women were taught to be independent, and because we weren't taught how to keep a man or how to have a successful marriage or relationship, by women. In most cases, same thing for the men. They weren't taught how to treat
Absolutely.
women. They weren't
Nope.
taught how to have a wonderful relationship or a loving and caring relationship, or how they weren't taught that. Now, of course, there's always exceptions, because there are people that, were blessed to have, two parents in the household, or even if that wasn't the case, but they had people that spent that time with them. They had, the
Showing
boys
them,
had
yeah.
men around them that taught them how to be men. Because a woman, I don't care what she does, I don't care who she is, and if she got a son, she cannot teach him how to be a man. She
No,
cannot. She can teach
no.
him certain things. She can teach him how to treat women based on how she takes care of herself. You know what I mean? And how she allows others to treat her. But she can't teach him how
That
to.
part. That part. How do he see you get treated? Because they
Right.
don't listen to what you say. They look at what you do. So if you could tell them to be a good man all day, but if they're seeing another man treat you bad, they're gonna say, yeah, you're saying
Mhm.
one thing, but you're showing me
Yeah.
something different. And men go off of action. See, women
Exactly.
listen to words, but men go off action.
Yeah. And if they see you treat the men in your life bad, that you're teaching them that too. You're teaching them that this man
Yep.
don't have any worth, because you're talking to him any kind of way. You teach, I don't care if it's your daddy, your brother, your uncle, your baby daddy, your ex-husband. And one of the best things my mother gave me was when, after my first divorce, and she sat me down and she said, no matter what goes on, no matter what he does or does not do, don't you ever say anything negative about him in front of those kids. She said, I don't care if
Oh,
he's pissed you off to whatever, don't you ever do it. And I'm looking at her like, but it also made me think about the same thing, because that's how she was with my dad. Like my dad, they separated when I was like 4 years old, but my dad would be at my house. He would get off work at 5. He was at our door like 5:15, 5:30, like every single day. Every day. My mother had different relationships. She made clear. I remember conversations that she would have when introducing someone to my dad, and say, this is my children's father. He is welcome here all the time. He and I don't have any relations with each other other than our children. So my father spent every, I grew up celebrating Christmas, and my mother was a huge holiday person. So every holiday, girl, she had St. Patrick's Day dinners, like anything holiday. And my dad was right there. He was there with the boyfriend. And then when she didn't have a boyfriend and she was remarried, she was there. He was there with the new stepfather, all of that.
Oh wow.
So, and she never, like, even when she would jokingly try to get with her girlfriends and say something, and I could hear my dad's name, and I would poke my head in the room, and she's like, "Ain't nobody saying nothing about your daddy. Go sit down." But she,
Look, she knew I used.
she knew, but she never said
Mm.
anything bad about him. And when I got older, I could see things. I could see how they couldn't get along because I could see his personality because I'm looking at him from an older young woman as opposed to a baby's daddy, or a baby's daddy, a daddy's girl. And so when she told me that about after my first husband, and she said, whatever he does or does not do regarding those children, you don't have to be the one to point that out because they will learn him on their own as they get older. But if you're the one that's talking bad about him and saying things bad about him to your friends and this and the other, they're going to have some resentment against you.
It's you. They have resentment against
you.
you.
You think that you're turning them against him, or you think that you're trying to let them know about their daddy. No, that resentment is going to burn for you. And I never forgot that. I never forgot that. And I think sometimes women, they get it twisted because their own anger, their own hurt, their own dysfunction, and their own issues that they haven't worked out, it's easy to just spit it out your mouth. But it's like, these are some men that have been these same type of men that we're talking about that can't handle certain women. This is what they've been raised with. So a lot of these men today, they don't even know how to deal with women. They don't, should I open the door for it? Should I not open the door? Should I pay for the meal? Should I not pay for the meal? Do we go 50-50? Do we not? They don't know either because a lot of the men around them didn't teach them. And then you got some women, what was it? It went viral maybe a year ago, where this woman was having a fit because this date took her to Cheesecake Factory. And
Cheesecake Factory. I saw that.
Like, I went to
Cheesecake Factory. I would have been like, let's go. Look, I went like
literally when I was, dating, if you want to call it that, like a few years back. And that was one of the places we went to. And this man literally was a millionaire. Like literally, like I saw the numbers, and we went to Cheesecake Factory. I wasn't tripping. I'm hungry. Let's eat. You know what I mean? And it's like, so some of these men, they don't know what to do. Not making excuses for them.
They'll do that on purpose to test you. It's not that this is what your lifestyle is going to look like. They want to know, like, what are you in this for real? And I think that was one of the things that made my relationship now successful. Not only did we talk about our expectations.
More ways than one.
No, look, I was dropping my coffee a little bit too, but I kind of like.
We're at home. We're having our conversation. That's why I call it a cup and conversation. Anything can happen.
That's right. But I get exactly what you're saying. And I think that again, it's about the narrative that's being pushed on social media. You're seeing all of these women equate money to a man's value. And I'm here to tell you that is not the case, because that person can lose it all. And where's your love then? You know what I mean? And those are the things that income doesn't make a high value man. It's about him having character. Is he faithful for real? Because he could be a millionaire. And even if you're getting money, if he has low character, he's going to jump from one woman to the next. And you're not going to even get a chance to enjoy that income. Just because he's a high six-figure earner or a millionaire doesn't mean he's generous. Doesn't mean you're going to get any of it. Okay. Exactly. And then I look at what's our values are. First of all, I don't look at necessarily love initially. I used to when I was younger. But what's important to me now is even though I wasn't guided on what a relationship should look like, because my household is kind of like similar to yours, where I saw a lot of chaos, right? So me and him, we talked a lot, and he talked to me about what his expectations was of a woman, and I talked to him about what my expectations was. For him to be my partner.
That was missing from my marriage. You said earlier that you wanted to ask something. That was missing. You got to have those real conversations when it counts. Real conversations. Because all the other stuff don't matter. The money doesn't matter. The career, the looks, even none of that matters.
Love don't matter because love is not going to keep the relationship together. Compatibility and understanding will. I don't care about if you love me. Do you like me? Can we talk? Can
Right.
we, are we on the same page when it comes to like making decisions? But most importantly, do we have the same belief system when it comes to certain things?
Yes.
Because you avoid a lot of arguments just being compatible with a person. Because
Yeah.
if I learn that up front, then it helps me know like whether I should keep moving forward or not waste my time. So once we started talking and I became his friend first, I got a chance to see the characteristics that he had. He didn't have to tell me he was a good man. He was showing me through his actions that he was. And in our conversations, he would talk to me about certain things that he didn't want in a woman. And I said, okay, listen, if I want to be his woman, I got to watch what I say to a man. I can't be aggressive, or when I get in my feelings, I can't manage my emotions. So those were some of the reasons why my other relationships was chaotic, because instead of telling the guys they don't qualify, I would try to make them be what they're not. Or they would come
Mhm.
into my life pretending to be something. And the moment that I tried to hold them accountable to that, they're like, oh, you're trying to change me. And it's like, no, I want you to be who you pretended to be. To
Yeah,
get
who that representative was that you meant, because
that
everybody shows their
representative.
representative in the beginning. It's like you got
Right.
to get underneath that, And one thing I always tell people too, when I do have these conversations about that, it's like, look at their families, because that's who you're marrying. That's who you're marrying, and there could be, there's things that I learned, there's things that I brought into my marriages from my upbringing that I didn't know that I was bringing them in. It was just part of my fabric, and it wasn't
Yeah, for
always
sure.
good, but I was too young to understand that these weren't good qualities, like, when you
Yeah.
pop off, that's not good. But
Man,
I didn't
I had to work
realize,
on that.
yeah, I didn't realize,
Yeah.
oh, why am I popping off like this? Oh, because I saw Jeannie Brown pop off, my mama, and I saw her
Mm-hmm.
friends pop off. And it's just like, that's just what you do. And it's like, no. And you have to, when you get to a certain level of maturity in your mind, it's like, okay, there's some great things about my upbringing, but there's some also not so great things. I want to
For sure.
discard the things that are not so good, and I want to work on that. But sometimes when you're young, you don't even realize that you are your mother's child, or you are your father's child, or your
Ooh, the
grandmother or
apple don't
grandfather.
fall. The
Yeah,
apple don't fall
because
too far from the tree, baby.
we've all said things like, I've never talked to my
Yeah.
kids like that. I am not gonna be like that. I am never gonna do that. And sure enough, before you know it, you open your mouth and you'll be like, I'll be doggone, that's my mama coming out.
That's my mama.
That's the mama coming out, and it's like, it's
Yep, yep.
part of you. So you have that responsibility to go, okay, do I like this part? Do I like these characteristics that I have from my upbringing, or these things that I've been influenced by, or can I work on this? Can I, because I can change this. I know better. What is it? Maya Angelou said, when you know better, you do better. So it's like, okay, I'm not going to do
Yep.
this. Like you just said, he told you what he didn't like. And that's up to you to make that choice. Like, okay, these are things that he does not like. Are these in alignment with things that I don't like either? And if these are in alignment with things that you don't like, it's like, boom, oh, I can change that. I'm not going,
I can work.
I can fix that. That's something I don't like either. You know what I mean? So let me change it. Because what is it? Steve Harvey, I think, said that there's only one type of woman that a man would change for, and it's the woman that he really wants. And I say the same thing for women. There's only a certain
Mm-hmm.
type of man that you're going to change for, and it's the one that you really want to be with. You will
And
make
that he
those
was the one.
changes, and it will come from in here and not based on anything outwardly. Because some women will get it twisted and they're like, oh, they're going to change everything. And it's like, if it's in alignment with who you envision for yourself, like if you're making a list, women sometimes, I think men too, have a list of who they
I
want,
made
their
a list. I
ideal
made a
partner.
physical list.
Yeah. And it's like, make that list and then become that person that you just wrote down. Become that person who's worthy of the person that you made the list for. Because, well, I want my man to okay, so you become the woman that deserves that man that
That part.
because
That part.
what was the song? I can't think of the song, but it's a singer. I don't even know if he's around. Life Jennings. He had a line. I can't think of the song though, but his name is Life Jennings, and he had a line in his song back in the day, and he said, "You can't be a nickel looking for a dime."
Ooh, that part. So when I looked at the list that I made, I said, okay, am I the type of woman that this type of man would want? And
Mm.
and when I came to that conclusion, basically what you just said, I realized that a lot of my stuff wasn't working, not only because I didn't know how to be in a relationship, but I also needed therapy. I was holding on to a lot of resentment and a lot of anger and hurt that I hadn't dealt with. I just worked over it. I thought, okay, if I just work enough, I could just ignore these feelings or ignore. So I would use my career as a band-aid to not deal with real issues that I had with them
Mm.
myself.
That's
Not only
so
rooted
good.
from childhood, but issues that I had that contributed to a lot of my failed relationships. And
That's
once
so
I got the
good.
therapy and identified a lot of the stuff that I needed to forgive, it made being in this relationship a lot easier because I'm not talking to him crazy. I'm not upset and not knowing how to express myself like an adult. I'm not just out yelling because I'm mad. That's what children do. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
stuff like that contributes to it. And then then women already got this bad rep for being bossy and can't talk to a man and all this other stuff. And I
Especially
just
black
made it my
women.
business. Yeah, especially black women. And I said, I'm not gonna be that businesswoman stereotype where I'm overly aggressive or I'm looked at because I already got strikes against me. So I make it my business to intentionally be soft and learn how to be soft and learn how to be feminine and learn how to when I'm if I can't really just talk to my partner, just be silent for a while, breathe, count
Yeah.
to three. Like I really had to learn how to manage my emotions because when you're a
Yeah.
businesswoman, you know if I point my finger, you better do it. But when you get into your relationship, you can't talk to your man like that. You can't do that.
Yeah.
So I had to make a lot of adjustments. I had to learn to turn the business off when I got home.
Exactly. Exactly. And you know, and because you did those things, because you did the inner work, that's why you could recognize him.
Yeah, for sure.
Because can you imagine if you hadn't done the inner work and he came into your life, you wouldn't have been able to recognize that he was the one.
I would have
Because
ran them off.
it would have
I
been
would have
all
ran them
this stuff
off.
up here exactly, and he would have gone the other way. And it's just like, what? You know, that inner work is so important. And you just said something too. You said you had to learn how to forgive. And I think that like that's one of the things that I learned very, very early on, not when I was younger, but when I got older. And it was one of the things like with my going back to my second ex-husband, first one too, but forgiveness. Like forgiveness was there was the surface level forgiveness and then there was the deep forgiveness. Like the surface level, like
Mm.
after the stuff happened and it hit the fan and it was just like crazy and chaotic. And I was like, and I told him, I said, I forgive you. I forgive you. You're not your mistake.
Mm.
You are, and I
Yeah.
remember telling him that specifically. I said, you are not your mistakes. I don't see you as one big mistake. And he made a lot of mistakes that was funky and foul. Okay. There's just
Yep.
out there. I made a lot of mistakes that were funky and foul, but his was really funky. If he saw this, and he probably will, he'll laugh about that. But it's like, and so but like I said, I don't think a person is their mistakes. And the problem
Yeah.
becomes when every time we see that person, we're only seeing their mistakes. Now, when he and I were married, like in the same household, married, I saw his mistakes. I saw his mistakes. And I would deal with him based on his mistakes. If he did something on Tuesday, well, because I haven't addressed what happened last month, oh,
Mhm.
now you about to get
You
this
getting it?
Tuesday,
Yeah.
but you also gonna get it from what happened a month ago, because we didn't address it.
Mm.
I didn't let it go. I didn't forgive it because we didn't address it and we hold on to that and it stacks up and stacks up. And then we just pop off and blow up. And it's like, it's crazy. And then people are looking at you crazy and you feeling all kind of some type of way. But it's like when you forgive that person, like I said, I forgave him on the surface first. I was like, I got to release this because if I keep holding this in, I mean, I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping, I lost all this weight. It was just
Mm.
much. And I was like, I gotta let this go, and I had to forgive him on the surface. But then it took some time, probably maybe two good years, 3 years, something like that. And then I was like, oh, I have really forgiven him. And I have really forgiven myself because you go through a period where you start thinking about, things that you shouldn't have said, things that you shouldn't have done, things and mistakes that you made.
Ooh,
Like,
living in regret.
yeah,
Living
because
in regret.
it's easy to point the finger and go, like I just said, he did some real foul stuff. Like he did, but it's easy to just like live on that. He did this, he did that, he did this, he this. And it's like when you're pointing that finger at somebody else, if you look down, you got three pointing right back at you. So you got to check yourself three times more than what you checking another person. But these are the hardest checks because nobody wants to check themselves. Nobody wants to look at themselves. It's so easy to do this. And once I started doing that, then I was like, okay, this is real forgiveness. Like this is really real forgiveness, because that forgiveness is for me. It's not for him. And I used to think that when I was younger, when you forgave somebody for something, you were condoning their actions. And you're not. You're not. Because when you forgive somebody, it doesn't mean that it's okay that you talk to me in a kind of way. It's okay that you hurt me. No, you're not doing that. But I used to think that when I was younger. Well, if I forgive that person, then I'm saying it's okay that they did what they did. No, the forgiveness is for you, because you got to let it go because they're going to go on with their life no matter what. They're going to do what they're going to do no matter what. You can't ever
Not
change
even thinking about
else.
you.
Yeah, exactly. You can't change anybody else. You can only change yourself. And so when I learned that and understood that, it was just like, oh my gosh, because that's
breath of fresh air.
Weight. It's a way to carry that on, when, like you said, you've been in bad relationships and you're carrying that. I think, what was it, Erica Badu, the bag lady, the
bag. Oh, that song.
Yeah, you carrying
I
that.
hear that song differently now. I hear that song differently because when you don't forgive, it creates triggers. So if you hear anything that sounds similar or anything like that, you're creating triggers for yourself. And then you end up you're mad at something else, but you're taking it out. Your anger can easily be misdirected when you don't have forgiveness. And it's like you're always walking around irritated, waiting for somebody to try you again. And you misdirect that anger.
You said,
you really do.
I wish somebody, yeah, it's so true.
But my therapist had to help me understand this because I wasn't understanding why I was having success in one area of my life, but I wasn't having success when it came to like love. And I used to say, well, if they didn't do this and if they didn't do that, and then my therapist told me, he was like, the reason why your situation hasn't changed is not because they haven't changed, you haven't changed.
You're the
because
common
it's
denominator.
easier for you to try to, it's because you're trying to change them, but the person that needs to change is you. Even you expecting them to change shows that you haven't changed. And when you change your mindset and you change how you do things, you're going to see the change. You think you're going to see the change when they change. You're going to see the change when you change.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's so true.
My ego.
That's
my ego.
Hello. Because my ex-husband and I, when we were married, that's what we were doing. Whether or not we realized, we were waiting for the other one to make these changes. Yep. Nobody was willing to make the change because it's like, well, if I start doing, I know what my mindset was. Well, if I start doing it, and then that, he gonna turn right back around and do, I'm not doing that. And it's like, no, you have to be, well, Gandhi, you have to be the change you want to see. You have to make those changes. That was so good for your therapist to point that out, because like you said, you wanting that person to change is showing that you haven't changed.
I haven't changed because it's not for them to change. The moment I identified that they pretended to be something that they not, my job was to get out of that situation, because you're not who you say you are. What I would do is I would stay in the relationship and try to force them to be what they claim to be to get me, because at first men would talk men would be upfront and would tell me reasons why they can't love me and this and that, and I was always like, okay, well, I'm gonna try to good woman my way into your heart. I'm gonna show you why you should love me, and try to do all the convincing. Then the second stage was, okay, if they come in with any type of excuse, I'm not gonna date them. So what they started doing was they started lying to me and tried to make it seem like they had more going on than what they did. And instead of me getting out of the relationship, I would try to make them like, well, no, you said you had this and had that. You told me you was this type of man, so I'm gonna hold you to it. And I
Yeah.
start talking to them bad and not respecting them when I should have said, you know what? I appreciate that I can see who you are right now, and it's just not going to work. And
Mm-hmm.
God punishes you for being a coward. When you're too much of a
Mm.
coward to lead, that's what you
Mm.
should see. It's not weight.
Mm.
It's not
Ooh.
it's not weight. It's not, oh, maybe I'm not attractive. It's not age. It's not weight. It's not none of
Mm-hmm.
that. When you keep entertaining people, when you finally identify that y'all are not on the same page and that this is not going to work, and you stay in it anyway, you get punished for it.
So
And it,
true.
and your punishment is singleness.
Wow.
It keeps you single.
That's so good. That's so good. And and you look at how everything has changed in your life. Now of course y'all are going to have tests and trials and tribulations. That's just part of life
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
relationships. It just is what it is. But
Yeah.
because you've done the work, to get to the core, like you said, you both know what you don't want in a relationship. You both know what you
Mm-hmm.
want in a relationship, and you're willing to do the work to make it
Yeah.
happen. And I always think, when I look back on it now, it's like I think you have to have a core person, that you can go to, that you two can go to, that is unbiased. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because you're gonna have some challenges, and because that's the only way to make any kind of relationship of any sort stronger, whether it's a business relationship, a sibling relationship, a marriage, friendship. They have to be tested. They have to be tested in order to
And
get
we've been
stronger.
tested.
Yeah,
We've been tested.
yes, and it's like when you have somebody that you can both talk to and say, hey, like, find people. I always, looking back on it now, it's like, find people that have great marriages. They've been married for 50 years. 60 years, and they still love each other, not tolerating each
Not
other.
just be, yeah, not
Yeah,
just, yeah.
yeah,
It's not many. I'm not gonna lie, it's not many
exactly.
because
It's
most of the
hard.
marriages I've seen, they're tolerating each other, and I know I don't want my marriage to look like that.
Right.
The way
You
that
don't
I
want
feel
to.
about him right now is the way I want to continue feeling about him, and that, I guess, that's the only thing that scares me about marriage. It's the unknown, like, or hey, you're always changing, I'm always changing. Are we going to be changing in this direction, or are we going to be changing in this direction? That's the only thing
Yeah.
that I'm fearful of. So my goal, and hopefully we can get this done pretty quickly. I'm thinking about even getting some type of counseling, like premarital counseling. I don't know exactly where
Absolutely.
to go to get it done,
Yeah.
because right now it seems like we're on the same page, but I just want to make sure it's no gray area that we haven't addressed.
Yeah. And things
I don't
that you
think it is,
haven't,
but I don't know.
right. And things that you haven't thought about, because there's things that are gonna, because you can't prepare for, it's just like, a woman, that's expecting a baby. You can only prepare for motherhood so far. You can read only so many books.
Oh
You can only
yeah.
get so much advice. And then once it comes, then you still, should still continue to learn and grow as you're, growing in your parenthood. Same thing in your marriage.
Yeah.
You can prepare all day long, but it's like I think steady learning and growing together, and like I said, looking back on it, because they say you shouldn't take marital advice from somebody who's been divorced. So I'm giving you advice based on somebody
The
who's been
best
divorced.
person to get advice from.
you know I can tell you what not to do. I can tell you mistakes that I've made and mistakes that I've seen, and things I would do differently if I were to get married again. But it's like one of those things, I think, is to be around people and to actively seek out people that have successful marriages. They may not be in your circle. They may not be, you may have to go to a different circle. I always used to tell my kids, if you're the smartest one in your group, you need a new group. So if those in your
That
group
part.
are not, you're not seeing what you would like to see, then find a new group, find a new circle that you all can socialize with and say, hey, you all been married 50 years. You seem like you can't keep your hands off each other, or you just, it don't even have to be
Right.
that. You can feel that, you can tell. Like my aunt uncle there, he just died. He was 97 and she's 91. And they have
Mm.
they have been married, and I need to call my cousin too to find out, because I believe they got married in their teenage years. So that means
Oh,
at death,
okay.
they had to be married probably 70, 80 something years, or close to 80.
Oh my goodness.
And they were like, I'm so grateful that, you got to follow that intuition. They had been on my mind, and they live in Michigan. And I was like, I gotta call them. I gotta call them. So I reached out and called, and then 3 weeks later, my uncle died, right?
Oh,
But,
my
I was
condolences.
so, thank you. I was so grateful that I had the conversation with them because we're just talking.
Yeah.
And you could still feel and hear the love and the respect, for
Oh,
them both, and it blew me away because they didn't even sound like they were in their 90s. I was like sharp as a button. They're telling me about things that they remember that I did as a kid. And like we're having this whole conversation, and I'm just like, oh my God, they're bringing up, reminding me of stuff. But my point is that they have that mutual love and respect for each other. And they went through some trials and tribulations, things that I learned about as I got
I bet they
older.
did.
You know
True.
what I mean? But growing up, you always knew that they loved each other, And so being around people like that, because they'll tell you the real deal. They've been married 50,
Yep.
60 years. They don't have nothing to hide, but they'll tell you,
Mhm.
this is what we did. This is how we keep it going. This is what, things like that, because it's just like the same thing. When you wanted to get better in real estate, what did you do? You went to
I
go see
learned.
successful realtors, right? You got in that environment. You're
Got
like, you
books, went to
you got books.
seminars, and I
Exactly.
educated myself. And you got
Exactly.
to do the same thing in your personal and love life. Like I
Exactly.
started reading even before I got with him. I started reading this book, and I can't think of the name of it. I hate that. But I started reading books about relationships. And I started reading stuff that was written by men. I started reading stuff specifically about men because a lot of books was tailored to a woman's perspective, and I wanted to hear what a man's perspective was.
Yeah.
What are y'all really thinking? And how should we truly move when it comes to certain things? And even certain books is going to help you identify your partner. Because to be honest with you, the people that's not really for you or and things like that, they normally say the same thing, or they do the same things. And so a lot of books, a lot, even in real estate, your clients are going to say some of the same things. They're going to do, most of them are scared. They don't know what to do. And
Right.
people come into your life scared and don't know what to do. So it's about identifying that and saying, okay, since this is something that's the norm, this is how I'm going to tackle it. Whether it's a relationship, whether it's real estate, whatever, this is how I'm going to handle this certain situation.
Yeah.
So but I'm gonna say education is the number one thing that you're gonna have to do. And then it's a difference between having knowledge and wisdom. You want to
Mm.
Your goal is to have more wisdom than knowledge, because you got the book smarts, you got the way things should work, and then you got the way things actually work. Learn how things actually work, because you got to learn the written rules and the unwritten rules, and I
Mm-hmm.
made it my business to do that.
Mm-hmm. And
That's
I
what's going to help you get
and
successful,
having
learning the
having that
unwritten rules.
flexibility in there too,
That
to
part.
know like,
Mm-hmm.
I made a mistake. I raised my voice, or I did this or did that, and that has to come from both. It's like you got to have that flexibility and to
Mm-hmm.
forgive, and be willing to let it go. Everyone has those. I don't know. I was going to say that everyone has those boundaries that can't be crossed. But I say that, and then I think about people that I know that were married for a long time. My aunt, uncle, great example. I have some other uncles that were married, like literally till death did them part. And they went through a lot. I mean, some of those relationships, there was infidelity involved. Some of those relationships
Woo!
had outside children,
How did
that, and
they
these
deal
were
with
things,
that?
these were things that I didn't learn about till I got older. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, man, and they pushed through that. So a lot of times we think of, being married, or yeah, we think of being married as it's always, there's never going to be any real, like some people would say, man, infidelity is a deal breaker. And for some people
For
it
me, it
can be,
is. For
what I
me, it
mean,
is.
without a doubt, and it's like, okay, this and the other. But for some people, I've seen them go through it, and I don't know what kind of hailstorm they went through, but then they came out on the other side, and it just used to blow my mind, like, how did they do that? But it's like, not that it would ever be okay, but I'm just saying that every marriage is tested. And it's
It
like
is.
those core values, those core principles, that core foundation has to be strong, because it's just like when you're building a house and that storm comes along, that you want that foundation to be as strong as possible, that you can possibly make it, because when that storm comes and that house starts shifting, you know And like, okay, babe, we got to hold on to each other because it's this house is rocky right now.
I hope that I'm never tested in that area because
Right, it's rocky.
that's gonna take my marriage out because
Exactly.
every time that I've taken back somebody that has cheated on me, they end up cheating on me again.
Yeah,
That's my number one deal breaker. Do not cheat
yeah,
on me. I hate to say this, but if he cheats on me, I will end the
yeah.
marriage. I
And
can't. That's a test.
that's your deal breaker that
That's
and
my
I'm sure
deal
you
breaker.
communicated that with him and he
I
has to
communicated
communicate.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
he has
that's
to
my deal breaker.
communicate that with you because like I said, I've seen some go through and come out on the other
No,
side. I don't know how they
no.
do it, but they've done it. You know what I mean? But
No, baby, I ain't
every
strong enough. I ain't strong enough for that. I'm out of
like
I'm out.
she's like, I'm out.
I'm sorry to cut you off. But
No,
no,
you're
you
good.
know
You're
me, I'm
good.
out of there. Because my thing is what I learned about cheating, and because I couldn't understand why why somebody who asked you to forgive them in that would do it again. But I had to realize it wasn't a mistake, it's a choice, and that person has a character issue.
It is
And
a
that's
choice.
why you're going, it's a choice
It
because when you
never
got that
happens
girl,
by mistake.
because when you got her number, you could have stopped there. Then that means you text her. So the cheating don't start in the bedroom. It started when you got her number. It started when you called. It
It
started when
started
you
at
text.
hello.
It started at hello, right? So it's because it's a choice. That means our relationship is could be lacking something. But for you to not address that with me before stepping out, it's already over
Yeah.
because I'm not what you want in some area, and nothing's going to change that. A man can grow on a woman. A man can grow on a woman, but a woman can never grow on a man. He either
Yeah.
wants you or he don't. And a man that truly adores you and love you and respects you, it's a respect thing. A man that love and respects you will not cheat.
And
But
and I'll take a little bit further. I didn't mean to cut you off like that, but I'm gonna take a little
it's
bit
okay.
further because I think it also has I think it more so has to do with a man's own insecurity than it does about the woman. Because that
Mm-hmm.
woman can be it she could honestly, I think that when a man cheats, I think it has very little to do with sex. Very little to do with sex. I
Mm.
just don't buy it. Now I think if a woman cheats, I think it it does have something to do with sex, meaning that it's something that
Yeah.
she's lacking. I don't even want to say it like that, but
It's usually the sex.
it's
That's
different.
the
I
lack.
think it's different when a woman cheats because for one, for us to
Mm-hmm.
go that far as a woman,
Mm-hmm.
is something major going on there. And I think when a man goes that far, because it's wrong either way. But I think when a man goes that far, it's easy for the wife or the girlfriend to think, oh, I'm not enough for him, or he wants somebody different. 9 times out of 10, when he's cheating with somebody, she don't even come to your caliber. She don't even look, she's not even in the
Mm-mm.
realm of you. And you might look at that person and go, what the hell? But
And
it
it
has
makes you mad. It's like if
right.
you
It's
gonna
like
cheat on me,
you
she
could have
better
at
be finer
least
than
she
me.
should have been
You
banging. You know
better
what I
cheat
mean?
up, damn
To
it.
where I could go like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? But it's like,
Yeah, for sure.
but and that's why I think it has something to do with some insecurities in that man. It's something going on in him, and because for a man, a man when it comes to sex, men are so visual. You know what I mean?
Very.
And women are more emotional. Like you make love to us here before the
Mhm.
physical part in most cases. There's some
Absolutely.
but and for a man, he don't need all that to be able to go there. He likes the
No,
visual
no.
revelation. That's why I think that's why I say that when a man cheats, it's something else going on, and it has everything to do with him internally. And he may use that. He may say, "Well, she never does this. She never does that. She did." But really,
You
if he
better bring
really
it to my
examines that,
attention. You better
I
bring
was
it to
gonna say,
my
if he
attention.
really examines that, he'll see that it's him. It's an insecurity in him. And for a man, and that's why I say, when I go back to what I said earlier, where men need other men in their lives to teach them how to be men, because there
Mm.
are males in a man's life that will teach him how to be a male, but
I pay attention to that.
that's different than being taught how to be a man. Because if that man is feeling some kind of way, and a woman has to be strong enough to be able to, because a lot of times we say, well, if you got some issues or something out there with somebody else is catching your attention, I want you to bring it to me. Well, if he brings that to you, you got to be able to handle that. Not saying that he's cheated, but if he's saying,
That part.
this, I'm finding myself attracted to this person. I'm not trying to get with her or anything like this, but it's challenging. Well, you got to be able to handle that. And the same thing for you. That's why I said that foundation has to be really strong to where y'all really can truly talk about anything, even
I'm
the
okay with
tough
that.
stuff,
I'm okay with
even the
that.
tough
It's
stuff.
the sneakiness that I can't deal with.
Exactly.
It's the going behind
Exactly.
my back
Exactly.
and doing it. I
It's
I,
the
I can
emotional
handle.
cheating too.
Yeah,
Yep.
I can handle that because you could have went behind my back and not said anything to me. So I'll respect you more. I'm not gonna like that, but I also
Right.
have to keep it real. Like, I'm not the only person you're gonna be attracted to, and vice versa. But it's about what we do with those feelings. I don't care about you having those feelings. I care about what you do with it.
What you
And
do
are
with
you doing
them.
stuff are you doing stuff behind my back?
Right.
That's or stuff that's
Yeah.
gonna break our trust, because once I don't trust you, it's over with.
It's done.
That's
It's
why I can't
done.
deal with the cheating, because it's deeper than the sex. It's deeper than the cheating. I don't trust you no more.
Yeah.
So when you tell me, hey, I'm about to go to the store, no, you not. You going over a girl house. If
Right.
I gotta be that way with you, it's already over. That's
There's
why I say
problem.
I hope we don't get
Exactly.
tested in that area, because then that means you wasn't my person. Because
Yep.
if you're truly mine, whatever God has for me, can nobody take it. So if another woman can take you from me, and if another woman can get you to step out on me, you're not my dude.
He
You're
wasn't
not my
there. He
husband.
wasn't there in the first place. Exactly. And
And
that's
people
why
don't
that
want to
found
accept that.
no, they
They will
don't. They
tell you you're wrong for thinking that. And I'm like, no, 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 no.
mm-mm.
Because your person is not going to do that to you, because they wouldn't even want to see you hurt like that.
Exactly.
You know what I
And
mean?
and a person and that man and that woman, they're so
Mm-hmm.
strong and secure with who they are that they're
That
strong and
part.
secure in the choices that they make. Because you got to be
Yeah.
strong. If you're strong and secure with who you are, you're going to be secure and confident in the choices that you're making.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're
Yeah.
shaky about the choices if you're shaky about who you are, you're going to be shaky about the choices that you make. And if you're shaky about
That
the
part.
choices that you make, you're going to make some shaky choices, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? You're going to
That
make
makes
some
a lot
shaky
of sense.
choices. So that's why that person
Mm-hmm.
has got to be confident in who they are, because they are going to be tested. You're going to be tested. It's part of life. And it don't even necessarily have tests will come along that don't even have to do with infidelity. It could be sickness, it could be money issues, it could be, just family issues. How are we going to deal? You may have a crazy family member that person loves, and you're like, that person crazy, you don't want that, you know what I mean? So there's, you know what I mean? So there's like,
Thankfully, we don't have that, but
right, right, you
that could
gotta
be an
have
issue.
those foundations, and that
Yes.
foundation have that, like I said before, having that go-to person that you all can go to and say, you know what, we going through a little rough spot right now. We just want to check
Like,
in and just, make sure that
yeah.
you hear his side, let me hear mine, and let's work out some things, because we see a little wave happening on the on the
But,
on the ocean,
on the side, you know what? But that's the number one. That's the number one thing that women need to look at. What type of men are he hanging around? Are he hanging around men that
Mm,
don't value relationships? Because in all of my relationships that didn't work out, the guy was hanging around other men that didn't value relationships. So anytime he did anything nice for me, or he was actually trying to be a good man to me, they'll like talk bad about him. Like, something I don't know what it even means, but they'll call him a simp, or start talking bad about them.
you're
And
jealous
then
the
they
whole
started,
time.
yeah, they was jealous the whole time, because these are the same men that will be in my inbox later talking crap about him, like, yeah, he shouldn't have treated you like this and this and that. And then I showed it to them one time, and they was like, that's funny, because he was telling me to not give my love to a woman and this and that, and now he's in your inbox trying to get with you. And I'm like, yeah, that's why you need to be your own man. So when I date somebody, I look at who is their circle of influence. So if you're around a lot of
Mhm.
men that talk bad about relationships, or if they're not asking you when you're getting married or holding you accountable to being a provider,
That's
then I
good.
don't date you, because you got them in your ear, and I can't compete with that, because they've been in your life longer than me, and you're gonna listen to them over me because I haven't earned that spot yet, right?
That's
So
so
I think
good.
the thing that helped me say yes to my fiance was for once he was a confident man, and then two, he was clear about what he wanted and the type of woman that he wanted. And I like the fact that he got a chance to date before we took things to the next level, because he got a chance to see what the type of women was out there. He was just like, nah, baby, you're it. You know what I mean?
I love
So
it.
you see what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
he's sure, so he's not insecure, and he's not dealing with challenges financially. That's what's holding our relationship, even closer, because he's not stressing about
Yeah.
success, and he's not stressing about not feeling like he's enough. He know he's more than enough, so he's
Yeah.
not putting that insecurity on me.
Mm.
He don't need the attention of other women to feel like he the man, because he feels that way anyway, and then I'm gonna make him
Mm.
feel like he's the man. So it's like, I didn't have that before. I was dealing with a lot of insecure men that needed the attention of other women.
Mhm.
They was having financial challenges. So when they saw me being successful, it was hard to be happy for me, and rightfully so. Your girl is successful, and then you not having much to bring to the table. They started resenting me for that. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Yep.
So dating somebody for the first time that don't have a reason to resent me, because they got their own success going on.
Yeah.
They don't have to, they don't, they're around men that's telling them, yeah, it's time to get married. Yeah, it's time, do right by her. I'm hearing them
Mm.
on the phone. They don't even know I'm in the background. I'm hearing them
Yeah.
have private conversations like, yeah, do right. She the one, man. This and that, like
I
encouraging
love
him
it.
on that. So yeah, you're right. We do have to have those outside influences that's not gonna
Hmm.
tell us, well, oh, they did this, oh, we'll break up with them, or we'll get rid
Right.
of them. Somebody that's gonna give us sound,
Yeah.
non-biased advice, and fortunately we do have that. So
Yeah. And
you
hold,
know,
hold each other. You need to
yeah,
have friends that are holding you accountable, holding him
mm-hmm.
accountable. I love
Yep,
that. Oh, that's so key.
yeah, for
That's so
sure,
key because
yeah,
a man, equates his confidence even with his ability to provide. You know what I
yeah,
mean? A real man, and when he's not, like you said, oh, that was just such a bar when you said when he's not stressing about his own financial situation, he doesn't have to perpetrate that on you or anybody else. You know what I mean? It
no, because
doesn't
he
mean that
comfortably
things
provides for me. So
exactly,
it makes
exactly.
him feel good, make him feel good when he's able to
Yeah,
come in and pay the bills, versus saying, oh, well, can we go 50-50 and all this other stuff.
girl,
He
that's a
looks
whole nother
forward.
conversation. That's a
Man, that's a
whole nother
whole nother
I
conversation.
can't stand when I see that. And these women, and you'll see the different, what he said he wants to go 50-50, and I'm just like, okay.
Like, what is that? What you mean 50-50?
It's not even
And
gonna
then
come.
no, 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 no.
Mhm.
My guy, he real old school. He pays all the bills, and he's not doing it just to say he's the man. Like it's
Right.
just like, no,
It's
this is
just
my
what you
role.
do.
And he's the first man that came into my life wanting to do that, because sometimes when you're successful, and I hate that we run into this, some men don't want to contribute because they feel like you got it all. Well, what can I do for you? You got it all. You got it. He was the first man to say, I don't care if you're a millionaire. I'm going to come in and do my part. I said, baby, come on with it. Go and put that ring on my hand, baby. We on the same page, because you're not sitting here competing with me and saying, well, let
Yes.
me see what she got. No, what do I have to bring to the table? And that's why he confident, because he know he can be a provider. He know he do look good. He know
Yep.
that, you know what I mean? He
Yep.
know that we solid. So he's not walking around with a lot of insecurity. But I wasn't dating that before, and it kept me single. So I got really specific and intentional. I
Mm.
spent time alone before I got with him, and we got
Mm.
intentional about what we wanted, because he had dated some trash and I dated some trash, and I was
Hmm.
like, I'm pushing 40. I need to get it. So
Hmm. I
so they
love
what if a
that.
person came in my life and they wasn't talking about what I talked about,
Yeah.
or they didn't have the same beliefs as me. If you went on a date and you started talking about, well, we're gonna see where this goes, or we're gonna go with the flow, or you were saying anything that didn't say commitment, I was not interested. Matter of fact, I'm gonna
Hmm.
talk to you before we even go on this date, because I may not even go on a date. I don't even want you wasting your money and wasting my time. If we're not on the same page, I got out of there
Yep.
quick.
Yep.
That's the reason why I got this ring on my hand right now.
Yep.
I wasn't playing. I stopped playing with these men.
Yep.
You came with a bunch of excuses. I didn't even call you back no more. I just stopped talking to you. Won't even tell you what you did, because they don't tell women when they stop talking to a woman. They don't sit there and tell her what she did. They just
Right.
ghost you.
Right.
So I
Right.
started thinking more logically when it came to my heart. And that's
Yeah.
what got me this ring.
Yeah. And that's why I say you living your best life now. You living your
That
best
part,
life
that part, I
now.
stopped
Now
trying
that
to
you
be the
say,
good
yep,
girl.
yep,
I stopped trying
exactly.
to be the good girl. Stop. I encourage. I'm going to encourage women. Stop trying to be the good woman. Be the smart woman, because that's the woman that gets the ring.
Yeah.
The good woman is the woman that gets played. The good woman don't have boundaries. The good woman is the doormat. The
Mm,
good woman is the person
mm.
doing whatever they can to get a man. When I stopped being that person, I got a ring. When I was letting men do whatever, say whatever, and not holding them accountable, it kept me single. The moment I stopped trying to be the good woman and I started being a smart woman, bam.
I love it. I love
Simple.
it. And you did the work. You did the
And I
work.
did the
You
work.
went through the
I did the work.
therapy. You re-examined everything that you went through and discarded the stuff you didn't like and went forward with the things that you like and kept working on you. I love it. I
Absolutely,
love it.
absolutely.
I
Because you
love
got to
it.
work on you to even get to that place. Because if you don't work on you, you're going to keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. So I had to realize what I was doing wrong, and I was just dating wrong. I just had the wrong mentality when it came to just love. And I had to
Hmm.
realize that there was more important things that I needed to address, and that was the forgiveness. That was dating a person that I was truly compatible with, and the stuff that had nothing to do with love was the stuff that I needed to work on. I thought it was my weight that was keeping me single, but I didn't get rid of the real weight, and that was the weight that was up here.
Ooh, ooh,
That was the weight I
oh,
needed to lose, not the physical weight.
wow. Oh, that's so good, Tia. That's so good. That's so good.
Now that I got rid of that mental weight, I'm gonna work on the physical one now. Because baby, I'm
Oh,
about to be looking good in my wedding dress. You better believe it.
girl. That is so good. Like that is so
But yeah,
powerful. That's so powerful because we look at the wrong things to this, the
wrong
outer
things.
things that we start. But we just start. We not start, but we just focus on looking at the outer, and it's like no, it's inner. It's
Work
inner.
inside out, not outside in.
Yes. Oh,
Mm-hmm. Yes,
girl.
baby, absolutely. And so, but see, these podcasts again. Remember earlier you was talking about the reasons why we think like that. Well, the podcasts are telling people that they're telling women if you're not married by 30, that you better put yourself on sale because nobody's gonna want you. You got people like Kevin Samuels, God rest his soul, but he was
Yeah.
telling women you're gonna die alone if you're not a certain size. And if that was the case, then that means nobody big would be getting married. And then if what he was saying was true, then that means all the people that was slim and pretty would be, happily married
Happily ever
and truly
after.
happily ever after. So what I'm saying, and what I encourage people to do is take everything that you hear with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
You can be successful, like I was saying on my last video. You can be successful and have a great relationship. You don't worry too much about your size, because if a person like you, they're gonna like you whatever size you are.
Yeah.
If you get your mind together and you get clear about what you want, the universe is yours. The universe gives you what you truly, truly want. And you got to go after it. You got to have this mentality of, you know what? I'm gonna go after what I want, because I'm not even getting what I want settling. When you settle, you get less than what you settle for. You better
That's so
believe,
good.
right?
If you're
So
not
you
getting
you
it while
have
you're
to adopt
settling, you
that
might as well
mentality.
go for it.
You might as well go for it. If I'm gonna fail, it's gonna be at what I want for real. Like if my
Oh,
relationships don't work, it's gonna be me going after what I want for real. And I put together a list, and when I tell you this man checks off like 99% of those boxes that I asked for, you got to be specific on what you're wanting. And if a person is not that, get get out of there. Run.
you said,
Run.
oh
You know
my
what I mean?
God, girl.
I'm telling you, baby, when you do that work, not only did the work help me in my personal life, but it helped me in my business life, because all money is not good money. And the same principles that I applied in my relationship, I applied that towards clients. If a client is not being coachable, if they're not really supporting what I'm trying to help them with and things like that, I'll get out of there. I'll refer them to another agent.
Mm,
I'll do that. So that's another thing that helped me be successful in my business. Not being desperate for clients.
yeah.
Knowing that I'm gonna have clients if I'm out here talking to people about what I do, and they trust what I'm saying. I can't help nobody, a person that's not coachable. So I apply the same things in my business. That's what helped me be successful.
So good. So smart. So good and
Yeah.
so smart. Girl, I could talk to you all day,
Same
literally
here.
all day. I want to know as we kind of tie all this together, what's next? What's next for Miss Tia?
Ooh. So what's next for me? So of course my marriage is the next thing. So the goal is to set aside some time so we can start wedding planning. And the next chapter of my life is becoming a wife. And so we're still kind of on the fence as to whether or not we want to have a child or not. We're
Mm-hmm.
not certain because we're pushing 40, and life is a little different for us now than it was in our
Mm-hmm.
20s, right? You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I think then we both was like, yeah, we want a kid. But then when you
Mm-hmm.
start pushing 40, you're like, without, children. But that would be the next step. And then also I'm building my rental portfolio right now. So initially I started just flipping houses and just taking the proceeds and then buying other houses. So that's pretty much what I did to get my flip portfolio together. So now
Okay.
I'll be focusing on more like longevity type of deals. So
Mm.
more like rentals. I always encourage people, you want to have money coming in whether you work or not, and
Mm-hmm.
rentals is the way to go. So I tell people, get your credit score up to 660, open you a LLC, and
Mm-hmm.
make some money on that LLC, whether it's online or if you want to do real estate, and then make sure your income is under your business name. So that way you're generating income for your business. After 2 years, the bank is going to give you a commercial loan or a commercial line of credit, and you could use that to like buy properties and things like that. So that's what I've been doing to build
Mm.
not only my flip portfolio but my rental portfolio. So I'll be working on
Girl.
that. And then the last thing that I want to accomplish is I want one of my properties to be a residential facility where we're taking care of people who are, mentally disabled or
Yeah.
people who just need additional assistance. I want to have one house that houses at least 4 residents, and I want nurses that work around the clock to assist those families.
Wow. Oh, I love
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah, so
love that.
they'll be working the business and taking care of them, and they'll do it at my property.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be a great way for me to contribute back to the community. And it's also, of course, I'm in business, right? It's good
Yeah.
income on that as well. And then I just want to do something that's going to continue to, help the community out, and then something that's going to also help fuel my goals as well. So that's the next step for me. My rental portfolio, building that, and
Mm-hmm.
to get my first residential property, my first residential assistance.
I love it. I
Yeah,
love it, love it, love it. I knew I said, I
yeah.
know she's got something. I know she's got something on the
I'm
horizon. So
brewing up
I had to
something.
ask. I was like, I
I'm
had
brewing up
to
something.
ask. I knew it. Oh my gosh. Like I said, I could talk to you all day. I love the fact
Yes.
that you've been so open and honest about what you went through in terms of, bad relationships and just what, and even with your job, like, how they did you and how you decided, well, like you said, you had to move on from that job. And
That was embarrassing because I had never been fired from a job before.
yeah,
So, and then just seeing my income drop the way that it did, it was very, very discouraging. But you know
yeah,
what? I said, you know what? I have nothing to lose at this point, and I'm gonna
yeah,
keep going. So,
yeah,
and that's what you got to do. You got to say, you know what? And I realized that I got into a field that I loved. I wasn't just doing this for the money. I said,
yeah,
this is something I love to do, and that's what kept me in there because you it's not hard to remember your why when the money isn't coming in. You're like, I love this. I found something that if I had won the lottery, I'll still do it. Like I'll still do
yeah,
real estate. Even if I became a millionaire, I would still do
yeah.
real estate. I love it that much. Now sometimes the people are challenging because you're dealing with different personalities, but on the most part, I love real estate. I love
I can
everything about
tell.
it.
I can literally tell. Like it comes through on your social media. It really comes through that you really
Yeah,
love it. And you know what I love too is that it's like the lessons that you've learned in business and the lessons that you've learned in relationships, they're parallel.
very
And it's just like and that's such a great lesson for anyone who's listening to this. It's
for
like
sure.
you have to do the work no matter what it is. If you want to be successful in business, T
Yeah.
has done the work. You want to be successful in a relationship? He has done the work. You
Hmm.
cannot, what is it? What is it in the dictionary? The only time that success comes before work is in the dictionary,
Yeah,
you
I had
know?
to work on my people skills. That was
Yeah.
the number one thing I had a challenge with. People think that I'm an extrovert, but actually, naturally, I'm an introvert,
Yeah.
and and I had to get good at really developing my people skills and being good at handling conflict. Because people are when you're dealing with real estate, you're dealing with people that's going through divorces, people that are in financial
Mm-hmm.
challenges, and I can't allow myself to freak out easily. Or sometimes you have, chatty Cathy. And when you're an introvert, somebody, talking to you a lot, it could drain you a little bit. So me
Mm-hmm.
learning how to navigate again, just different personalities. Once I started getting good at that, everything just got better from there. And like you said, you just apply all of those rules in your relationship, your business, and just even within yourself, even when you by yourself. And I think the number one thing that helped me is just not taking everything personal and just realizing
Yeah.
everybody's on their own individual journey, and that, that's based on where they're at. It's something that you could take a part of, or depending on where they're at, you may not be able to be on that
Yeah.
journey.
Yeah, that's so true because at the end of the day, like all of us really want the same things. I say it all the time
Absolutely.
too. We all, even those that have come from some jacked up backgrounds or upbringing or business mistakes and jobs and things like that, we all want the same basic things at the end of the day, no matter where we are in the world. And you can't take it personal. We're not here long enough to take any of this stuff personal. We're
No,
just not
no.
like we just need to make the best that we can of whatever the situation is, learn and grow from it, and do. And I think you're such a great example of, not only because you could take the success that you're having and just say, you know what, I want to, and there's nothing wrong with owning it, but you could say, I want to own a yacht, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to, travel the world, have homes over here, homes over there, and that may be part of what you want to do, which is fantastic. But I also think it's
Absolutely.
fantastic that you said you want to have these residences to help those that are misfortunate, and you want to be able to, of course it's going to bring some income, but that's in your what's next, and I think
Absolutely.
that's really admirable, and
Thank you.
I can't
'Cause
wait to see the next episode of Tia. I
I
just
can't wait
can't
to see
wait to
it
see it.
too.
I'm
I do want to
excited for
travel the
you.
world. Thank you. I do want to see
Absolutely.
the world as well. I do want to travel. I want to travel to Africa for the first time. I do want to
Yes,
travel
me
to
too.
Dubai, but I know that I have to build a financial foundation first. So I think that's why I've been focusing more on that, because when I travel to these places, or me and my future husband travel to these places, I don't want us saying, "Oh, well, it's too expensive for us to do this," or it's, "Oh,
Yeah.
we can't afford to do that." I want to just have that freedom to just
Yeah.
say, let's go. But I also realize too, freedom ain't free. So I gotta build the foundation to get these things going.
Yeah.
But my goal with us is that, he gets out of the workforce as well, just like me, and that we're both
Hmm.
entrepreneurs together. So that's both of our goals. And actually that's what's next for the both of us. We're both gonna
I
be
love
entrepreneurs.
it. I love that. And I'm gonna stick this in there too. Go take a fabulous vacation. Take a fab.
Ooh,
Don't wait. Don't wait. Don't wait.
okay.
I mean, and I'm not saying like go today, but sometimes, and of course you want to go and have a great time, without a doubt. You don't want to be, worrying about the money and things like that. But life is so short. Go to Dubai.
It,
Go to
man,
Dubai.
yeah,
Life is so short. You're gonna have a good time no matter what. You can have a good time on
yeah,
a little bit of budget. You can have a good time on, because now everything is so, it's not like how it used to be where like
no,
everything is so, I mean, things are expensive, don't get me wrong, but there's so much that's accessible now. And I think COVID had a
yep,
lot to do with that because the world was completely shut down and inaccessible. And now everything's accessible on
yeah.
no matter what, you know what I mean? So my vote is go to Dubai. Go to
Let's
Dubai.
do it.
Wait,
Let's
don't
do
wait.
it.
Just work out what you need to do business wise and whatnot, but go. Life's too
Okay.
short.
I
Go.
love that
Go.
encouragement. And is there any other like words of advice that you would give me now that I'm, my next phase is marriage? And I know sometimes people feel like, well, I'm not qualified to give any sound advice on that, but I beg to differ on that. I think you can give me the best advice because you had a long lasting marriage, and even though it didn't necessarily work out the way you guys wanted it to, you still have some nuggets that you could share, or advice that you can share, or and you have already. But is there something
Yeah, I
else that you would
appreciate that.
recommend for us? Yeah.
I appreciate that. I think pretty much what I was saying before is making sure that you both have the right people in your circle, that
Okay.
are going to hold each of you accountable. And then at the same time, have somebody that you both can check in, with each other just to make sure and even aside from that, just keep the lines of communication open, like real communication. When you're feeling, when something happens or because those things sometimes when you've had not so good relationships, certain triggers can come up, and
Yes,
it won't,
absolutely.
and it because the marriage will be tested. It will be tested, and it's just part of it. And so I would suggest, probably, my if I could give one piece of advice, if I can narrow it down to one,
Yeah.
don't react. Don't react at everything. You don't have to react to everything. You know what I mean?
Ooh,
You
that
you
was
don't
something I
have
had to work on
yeah,
because
you
I
don't have to
reacted to
react.
everything,
Right. Trust
not
me,
in
me
this
too.
relationship, but in previous ones.
Right. Trust me, me too. React. Oh, because I'm gonna let him know. All that stuff. I ain't the one, and all that stuff that we play in our
Or the
head.
silent treatment, or the
Uh,
silent treatment. People don't understand. People don't know that the silent treatment actually is a form of abuse. Because I used to do that
yes.
when somebody wouldn't do what I wanted them to do. I would, oh, I ain't talking to you. I ain't gonna talk to you all day. I ain't gonna call you all day. Even just little shady stuff like that. I had to
Yeah.
grow from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Because
that's
it's
how
like
that's how I was done though. So I started
exactly.
saying, oh, well, this is how things are supposed to be, and I had to not let my toxic experiences with other people change me, because then you start becoming like that person, and
You
doing
start
shady
becoming
stuff and
what you
saying
don't
shady stuff.
want.
You become what you don't want. And so, like, I love that advice, because sometimes, I mean, men and women are different, and some of the stuff that men do, I'm like, what are you doing?
Right. And a
Why
lot
would
of
you do
times,
that?
and this is just, and I think it's because I have four boys too, but a lot
Mm-hmm.
of times, what we think the reason behind a man doing what he's doing has nothing to do with what he's doing it for. Like
No,
it,
no.
because we want them to read our minds so bad. Well,
Yeah.
he should have known because of the look on my face. He should have known because I told him before. Well, we tell him a
You
lot.
should know women.
He forgot you done told him so much stuff to do, not what not to do. He done forgot half of what you said, so he's not following
Or
it.
they done tuned you out, because
Right,
men are good at
exactly.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I do. I think, don't react to everything, and if it's something, and I look back at things now and I respond, I think this way now. If it's something that's really bothering you, really hurtful, still take some time to process that and reflect on it. Because if you love this person, this person, and you have to stop and ask yourself, okay, do I think that this person really did this to offend me or hurt me? Do I really believe that he was trying to hurt me? Or is it just something that was a miscalculation on his part, a misunderstanding on his part, or I'm
Mm-hmm.
misunderstanding that what is his intention?
What's
What
the
am I thinking
intention?
his intention is? And then reflect
Mm-hmm.
on that and then take some time. Just because it happened on Monday don't mean you got to discuss it on Monday. Sometimes you got to take a minute to stop and reflect and think about it. Think about who this person is, who you know them to be. And then it's like, okay, you know what? And I think you can even say on Monday, I'm feeling some type of way about this situation, but I'm not ready to discuss it right now. Can you respect me enough and let me have some time to just kind of digest this? Let me digest this for a day or two. And then I want to be able to revisit it with you when I can think through this whole process. And vice versa,
Absolutely.
same thing. And that way, when you come to him again with it the next day or 2 days later, it's like you processed it. You've gotten rid of whatever was going on in the workforce that day. You're not thinking about nothing else, but now you can process this. Or you may find in a day or two after processing it that, you know what, it wasn't that big of a deal.
It wasn't that big of a
And you
deal.
could tell,
Yep.
you could say, you know, I said I wanted to talk to you about something the other day. I
Don't
was
even worry. Yeah.
I'm just
People
tripping.
people say
It ain't
pick
even
your
I ain't
battles.
worried about it. Yeah.
Pick
It's
your
like
battles.
it's
And
like,
I
was
didn't
it
know what
really
that
that big
meant.
of a deal? You know? And if
Yeah.
it was, it's kind of like, like when if you're trying to watch your money and watch your spending habits, and you might see something at the store and you be like, ooh, I want to buy that, but I'm gonna think about it first. I'm gonna think about it. I'm gonna think if I want to drop that coin on that outfit. And then
Well, if
you
I
know,
want it, I'm dropping that coin.
right. And then you go back a day later, it's like, you know
Yeah.
what? Okay, I really did want that. Or a day later, you're like,
Mhm.
you know what? I didn't even want it. I
Let's go.
completely forgot
Yeah.
about it.
I
It's
forgot
kind of
it.
like
Yeah.
that in a way. You know what I mean? You want to process it first, because everything, just because something happens doesn't mean everything has to be addressed unless it's something very important. And if it's
Okay.
very
Okay.
important, it's going to be on your mind, but you need to process it first, because, like I said, it's so easy for us to get triggered, especially after you're married. You know what I mean? Especially, it's something about that marriage, that ceremony, the relationship. It's like, okay, we're here. We made this real commitment. So let's keep this commitment focused by again reevaluating, having the right people in our circle, having that mutual go-to person that's unbiased, that we know we can trust together. Y'all both have to trust that person, and that you can go to and say, hey, we just want to check in once a year, every 6 months even, and just check in, just make sure we're on the same page with everything. You know what I mean? And at the
Yeah.
same time, and to say, I know I said one thing, but then also at the same time, to know that you don't always have to be on the same page. You just want to be on the same
Oh.
book. Just make sure you're in the same book, because you're not going to always be
Mm.
on the same page sometimes, and it's okay. He's not going to understand all the time why you want to have a night out with the girls. He's not going to understand why, you probably had this experience where maybe you had a rough day at work, and
Yeah.
come home, you don't really want his advice. You just want to vent. But men are fixers, so they want to fix it. And he might be trying to give
Yep.
you advice, and it's like, no, I don't want your advice. I just want to vent.
I
So
just want to vent.
you're
Yeah.
not on the same page, but you're in the same book. He understands, okay, baby, you just want to vent. You don't want me to fix anything. So he might be sitting there like this, trying to not fix it, but he's letting you vent, you know? And you have to be that same person for him. He don't need your advice on everything. You don't
That's
need
some
it.
great advice.
Sometimes he just wants to hear himself talk. Sometimes he just needs to think it through, because men are fixers, and you
And
might
see, I'm
see
a fixer as well because of
yeah,
the
you might
position
want
that
to
I'm
see
in.
it right,
Yeah.
but you got to know, he got
Mhm.
this. You got to trust that he's got it, because if he doesn't, he's gonna bring it to you, because he's gonna want your advice. He'll bring it to you. If it's really wearing on his mind and he's worked it out in his head, and it's not going where he thinks, or he wants a different perspective, he will bring it to you because he trusts you and he loves you. But
He
just
sure
because he's
will.
going through something, that don't mean that you got to jump in here and try to fix it for him. Let him
Because
handle
he's
it.
already tried to do that. He's going to try to fix it first.
Exactly. And if he
Mhm.
can't, or if he wants that extra advice or input, he'll bring it to you. He will really bring it to you. You just got to
That is so
know
true.
that. You got to know that, and not jump in here and try to fix it. So that's my little
Okay.
2 cents. That's my 2 cents of advice.
Thank you. I
No, thank
appreciate that.
you. Thank you. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I appreciate it so much. Like I said, I could hardly wait
Likewise.
to get to this today. I was like, oh, I can hardly wait to talk to her, because I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time anyway. And that's the whole point
Yeah.
of me doing these conversations, because I'm really talking to people that I really want to talk to. So
Likewise.
I
Likewise.
appreciate it. I appreciate it. Well, I'm going to let you go and hang out with your man, and y'all just have a
Okay.
wonderful rest of your day. Again, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Now, let me ask you this too. Where can people connect with you? Because people want to connect
Yeah.
with you on Instagram, your social media. There's so much out there. I don't know what all you're on, threads, strings. I don't know what it's called, Twitter. I don't know what they call it anymore. But
Get
how
better
can
at
people
I gotta get
connect?
better at that. Yeah, thank you so much. I gotta get better at that. I'm not on Instagram as much. I do have an Instagram account. It's just my first and last name. They can connect with me on my cell phone. It's public information, so I don't mind giving my number. It's 501-347 9875. If they just want to call me and just get any information about real estate advice, or if they're thinking about flipping a home and they just want to know, hey, what's the first steps? What do I need to do to get financing for this? What's the steps? Just give me a call. I'm not a big social media person. I'll post, some of my closings and things like that. But if you want the real deal scoop, let's just call me and let's. I'm more of a one-on-one personal
Yeah.
person. I like to go out and have coffee. We can go out and have lunch. Just call me. But if
Yeah.
you are more of a social media person, I'm more on Facebook. I'm on there like every day. So you can just message me. But Facebook has my full name, of course. It's Tiara Ligon, TIARA LIGON, and then my information is on there as well. So that's the best way to contact me.
Perfect, perfect,
Okay.
perfect. Well, thank you again for this time today. Congratulations again on the engagement and all the success you're having today, the success
Thank
that's
you.
coming up next. I'm so excited for you. I'm just excited to be able to watch your journey. And like I said,
Thank you.
really seriously, thank you for your time today. Thank you for sharing
Thank you for having
a
me.
cup of conversation with me today.
I drunk all mine though.
I know
It's at
mine
the
is
bottom.
mine literally same thing here with this tea. Same thing here.
Oh yeah,
Thank you
that tea
so
sounded
much.
good.
And thank you for just being again so open and just giving people such valuable information, because you're inspiring. What you're doing is helping so many people in more ways than one. And like I said, that was one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you. I was like, she got a great business sense, but she's also, you're
Yes.
also great with, personable, being personable in relationships and anybody that, and I hope
Yes.
people that are seriously looking into getting into real estate and flipping, I hope they do give you a call because I know you're just gonna lay it all out for them because you're that person. You don't hold nothing back. You help
Mm-mm,
them.
mm-mm.
So
It's a
I
gift
love
and a
that.
curse. Some people, they're not, they don't, they've been told one thing, and then when they learn the truth, they're like, oh, I didn't even know it was like that. Even for
Yeah.
the people that's just looking to buy a home or just sell their home,
Yeah.
they can call me and I tell them what to do there. Don't ever think you stuck in a home and you can't get rid of it, or don't think you got
Yeah.
to rent, or like, man, I don't qualify for a home. A lot of most 90% of the people that qualify for an apartment actually qualify for a home. People think that they
Wow.
cannot afford a home. It's this rent you can't afford. Like,
Right.
it
See,
is
that's so
these
good.
prices is crazy.
That's so
But
good.
anyway, that's a whole nother
I
conversation.
know, I know, I know. But
Thanks
thank
for
you so
having me.
much again. Thank
Thank
you for
you.
having me. Hopping on here, having this conversation and giving such valuable knowledge. I appreciate it.
I
I'll
appreciate you
talk to you
too.
later, girl.
Love you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you too. Bye bye.